Hello, hello, hello. Hey, how are you? Excellent. Yeah, good. Good to see you. I'm glad that you decided to join us today. That doesn't sound good, but from what you were telling me, that you tend to injure quite easily, but at the same time you heal quite quickly, then I guess the balance is there, right? Ridiculous. Adventurous. Let's put it this way. Yeah. Hi, Sarah. So we will need definitely a block and a strap for today's practice. So if you haven't got one, then if you could grab like I don't know, a couple of cushions, maybe a big book. Yeah, cushions. So it will be definitely better when you then practice it at home, once you have a block, because it will probably provide you a bit more stability and so you can explore what's happening, but for now it will definitely do, so it's all good. Yeah, yeah, exactly, or a scarf. um it's fine. Exactly. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you can use it, basically. Okay, perfect, ladies. So I will mute you for now, and then I'll ask to unmute you at the end of the practice. So fasten your seatbelts. So actually today's practice will be slightly different to what we normally do, as we'll be paying more attention to the lower back, so it's perhaps a bit slower. So we've got that extra bit of time to really focus on the sensory aspect of the practice rather than just going from one posture to another. We'll be spending a bit more time just to see how the nervous system gets involved, how the tissues can settle, and then, what happens, all with the attention to the lower back. So start lying on your backs, so either in Shavasana or constructive rest pose. So with your legs bent. So whatever you prefer, you can keep the hands on your belly to connect to the sensations of your breath. Close your eyes and allow the body to settle. So I've picked the topic of the lower back care because I thought it's quite relevant. At some point in your life, you may have experienced some lower back tension or pain. If not, you're one of the lucky few. You will probably experience some discomfort later on in your life. And it's particularly relevant to me because I've been spending a lot more hours in front of my desk. So some tension has accumulated there, and I just thought that it would be nice to explore the anatomy and how we can use the yoga practice to either prevent the lower back tension and just to connect with that area and just give it a little bit of TLC. So as you allow the body to sink deeper into the mat, start deepening the breath. So deeper inhalations into your chest. Feel it rising. And as you exhale, notice your body relaxing. Try to lengthen the exhalation and notice the response of your nervous system. So continue to breathe deeply and fully. You can use the Ujjayi breath to help you stay grounded and even more connected to your physical body and the sensations that arise, that come and go. With each exhalation that you take, let go of any expectations towards the practice, towards yourself, and just simply bring your awareness to your physical body, to your lower back, allowing yourself to be exactly as you are. If you start your practice lying on your back in the supine position, then you allow the, in particular, lower back and your back to settle, to let go. And then you can notice which area you feel discomfort in, or where you feel tension or tightness, or any other sensations that are running through the body. So notice any emotions, thoughts, and just the general energetic awareness. So it's all well and good when we're in a healthy setting where nothing is aching, nothing is causing us trouble. And then, by all means, we should encourage the movement of the spine in all the directions, but also try to get ourselves outside of the comfort zone. But then, when injury happens, or we're feeling a bit sore or tender, then all of a sudden we might feel debilitated, rightly so. But I would like to encourage you to still explore how yoga or how being still can facilitate the healing process. Because sometimes just being still and breathing consciously can be a starting point, or can even be the activity that your body really needs. So allowing yourself to rest, but rest actively, might be just what your back needs. So even if you carve out like 5 minutes of your day just to do this, stay in a constructive rest pose, you might notice a whole weight being lifted from your lower back. So as we go through the practice today, you will probably experience some of new elements and that you haven't tried with me before. You may have tried it with someone else. So notice how you respond, how your body feels, and try to do that without judgment or any evaluation or, wish for a change. But also equally notice, if you're experiencing any boredom, because that encapsulates the whole practice. So it's not just the physical aspect of it, but also how you respond when you experience something new or something different. And then take a really deep breath in. Hold it at the top of the inhalation. Hold it, hold it, hold it just a little bit more. And exhale, exhale, keep exhaling. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and exhale. Exhale, keep breathing out. Exhale, and then hold, 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 and breathe naturally. Okay, So then open your eyes, see that you're all in the constructive rest pose. Grab your strap. So we're going to start with a modified Supta Pada Gustasana. So we're going to start with lifting the left foot and bringing the strap through the ball of the foot. But we're staying with the right leg bent for the whole duration of this practice. And then keep also the left leg bent. Okay. So from here, you want to apply some pressure. So to pull the strap into the ball of the foot, but equally pull the heel down as though you wanted to bring it closer to your foot, but without actually doing it. So this way we engage the hamstrings. From here, keep pushing down, breathe, try to keep your shoulders and your neck relaxed. Keep breathing, just a little bit more. And then you can pull the thigh slightly closer towards your torso. So the reason why we're keeping the leg bent is to bring it as close to your rib cage as you can, instead of normally just stretching the leg out. So you want to keep it here, find engagement in your hamstrings, and then you can gently straighten the leg. But only do it as far as you keep the top of the thigh on your torso. So this way we have engaged the hamstrings, and now trying to lengthen them, but also keeping our awareness in the lower back, so there isn't any unnecessary tension. So we're just focusing on finding some freedom and space in the hamstrings, but taking the lower back out of the equation. Because, sometimes if you're here and you're pulling the leg, actually it's so tight, your hamstrings and your lower back, that you might be causing more harm rather than good. So that's why top of the thigh on top of the ribs, leg is bent, engage the hamstrings, and then after a few breaths you can begin to straighten it. Relax the back of the head into the mat. And even though you're holding onto the strap, try to keep your arms as relaxed as you can. So now you can let go of that engagement and straighten the leg fully. So keep the strap wherever you need to make sure that that leg is straight. Hold the strap with your left hand and then gently open the leg out to the side. So go as far as it feels comfortable, making sure that the right hip is down. So it's not lifting. Bring the right hand on top of the right hip. Stay here and breathe. Notice where you feel the sensations. If at any point it gets too intense, you want to come back out. Keep checking that your left leg is straight. And then inhale, bring the leg back to the center. So now you need to straighten the right leg. Grab hold of the strap with the right hand. Slide your left thumb in the left hip crease. Just to remind you to keep the left hip down, and then bring the left leg over the body. It's probably not going to go far if you keep the hip down, but it helps you straighten the entire distal point of the leg. So the muscles in the side of the calf, going all the way to IT band, some of the gluteus medius, and going up to the muscles at the back of the hip. So notice how that feels, any thoughts. And sometimes notice if perhaps there's a desire to go deeper just because you can, and how your mind responds to you not allowing it to happen. Then inhale back to the center Release the leg and pause for a moment. So in constructive rest pose, both legs are bent. Just stay here and breathe. So this moment of rest, this moment of like coming back to the sides, just for the sake of comparison, rather than, this kind of like judgment, is just a scientific observation of how one side feels to the other. And this allows you for the nervous system to settle in and the signaling process to begin in the body. So then bring the right leg up. So the strap goes over the foot. And start by bending the right leg and bring the thigh as close to the bottom of your ribs. That's it. So then pull onto the strap and kick the foot into it as though you want to bring the back of the heel to your sit bones. And keep breathing. So try to keep the arms fairly loose. Then back off. So your upper back is relaxed. So we're preparing the hamstrings to lengthen whilst engaging. So then with the next breath in, keeping the top of the thigh glued to the bottom of your ribs, you can begin to straighten the leg. So unless you're a gummy bear, you probably won't have that leg straight, and that's okay. This isn't the purpose of this exercise. So you want to gently kick the foot into the strap while straightening the leg, and see what happens. So when it comes to asana or postures or any exercises that you do to take care of a particular part of the body, usually you can't see the benefits after the first practice, if that makes sense. So it's about a continuous effort and, just being conscientious. But you never know, you might feel tremendously well after this. So then one more time, see if the hamstrings are willing to play and straighten a little bit more without using force or straining anything. The back of the head is down. The top of the thigh is by the bottom of the ribs. And then release the strap a little bit so you can straighten the leg fully. Grab both ends of the strap with the right hand, left hand on top of the right hip, and we open the leg out to the side. So it might or may not go as far as it did on the other side. It doesn't matter. Notice where you can feel which tissues, which muscles or tendons are being stressed. And with the next breath in, bring the leg back out. Straighten the left leg and find some mild engagement. So very gently press the heel into the mat. Grab the strap with the left hand. Right thumb goes into the right hip crease. So we're staying grounded through the right side of the body. And then gently bring the leg over the body, making sure it's straight. So use the strap to help you here. Notice your breath and focus on the exhalation. So that part of the breath allows the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in, so which induces relaxation response. So that's why we always try to lengthen the exhalation in particular. And then inhaling, bring the leg back to the center. Release it, come back into constructive rest pose just one more time. Stay here and breathe. Observe without judgment and feel. Then cross your right leg over the left. So for a figure 4, right foot is flexed. You very gently push the right knee away from you to find some openness, a little bit of external rotation in the right hip. And then very gently squeeze your belly. So it's not like this crunch engagement, but it's like you wanted to bring the organs closer to the spine. So this is how you engage the deep core muscles. Then lift the left leg off the mat, and even if you can go deeper, just grab the back of the left thigh. So you want to have a loose grip here. So in this way you allow the body, the tissues to soften rather than encourage perhaps more tension in other areas in the body which could inhibit the potential release or stretch where we're targeting. So then if that feels good, keeping the torso, the hips fairly still, you can gently rock the legs from side to side. So try to keep the movement fairly organic. It's as though you were trying to lull your legs to sleep. And this way, we're allowing more room or inviting more release into the outer right hip rather than just focusing on one area as we bring the legs, really close to the chest. But the fluid movement can be the one that releases the most. So you know how much I like the fluid cat-cow. So this is a kind of its equivalent, but for the lower back and the hips. Arms are relaxed, your breath is deep and full. And then release the left leg down. Come back to constructive rest pose. Again, pause. Notice where you feel the sensations. And then we're switching sides. So left leg over the right. And start like step by step. So left foot is flexed. Gently push the knee out and see how your body's responding. Does it feel good? Does it feel a bit restricted? Is there tension or compression? And then you can lift the right leg up. Grab the back of the thigh. Allow the shoulders to sink back into the mat. And stay here in a static position just for a moment, breathing into the areas where you feel tightness, any discomfort. And then see if the movement from side to side, so the gentle rocking, is welcome. And just as a reminder, so tension is where you feel like muscles, for example, feeling tight, whereas compression is like bone on bone or like body on body restriction, which doesn't allow you to go any further. And then let go of the right leg, uncross them, stay here for a breath, and then bring both of the legs up, keeping the shins parallel to the mat. So the knees are more or less over the hips. Extend the arms out or into a cactus shape, depending how much space you've got. And very gently again find that deep core engagement, as though you wanted to press the lower back into the mat, but without squeezing too much. And then drop your legs to the left. So you aim to keep the right shoulder blade down. If it gently lifts off it's okay, but you want to bring the hips in the opposite direction to your chest. So they rotate in different directions. And notice where you can feel stretch, sensations. See if you can relax through the legs a little bit. And then inhaling, bring yourself back to the center. Check that the knees are over the hips or more or less, and then drop the legs to the other side. So if you need to adjust to bring the shoulder blades down, then have a little wiggle. And if it feels good, if you'd like to deepen the twist, you can look over the left shoulder. So really in most twisting action, we want to encourage the twist to be supported by the core and happen in the thoracic spine, so in the middle towards the upper back part of your spine, because the cervical spine of the neck is already really mobile, but just looking over one shoulder when you're already in the twist can give you that extra bit of that wringing out action. Just see how it feels for you. And then inhale, bring yourself back to the center and grab your block or your cushion. So still, for the release of the lower back, sometimes we need some core strength, or so it's not like the really like hard stuff that we do most of the time, but it's just like some engagement of the deep core muscles that whose function really is to keep the organs in. So it's if you gently can do it like on your back, and if you bend your legs and if you palpate the area, so you've got the bony hip bits, and if you direct the fingers towards your pubis, towards where I guess that's like uterus and like a really deep level, and if you very gently squeeze your belly, you can notice that something is happening here, because the deepest core muscles, it's like a sheath. So it's like fascia, and then that's the muscle, and it wraps around and then turns into fascia and adjusts to the spine. So if you very gently imagine you're bringing the navel closer to the spine, this area gets a little bit tighter. So that's really what supports the lower back. So what we're going to do now, from a bridge-ish position, so feet as wide as your hips, like the block between the thighs or the cushion, whatever you have, just to deepen the awareness of this area of bringing the energy to the core. So squeeze the thighs in, gently press the lower back, and draw the navel closer to the spine, so to find that engagement of the deep core muscles I was just explaining. And if you can't feel anything, then it's okay. We're simply trying to deepen the awareness of what's happening in the body, and tap into the sensory information and the signals that our body is sending all the time. So then from here, as you inhale, gently lift your shoulder blades off the mat, tuck your chin towards your chest, and reach your hands towards your heels. So the lower back is still down. Keep squeezing the block. And breathe. So it's crucial that you glue the lower back into the mat. Just find some mild yet pretty steady engagement in the lower back whilst squeezing the block, squeezing the pelvic floor muscles. Lift the shoulder blades and exhale, release. Keep squeezing the block though. So breathe into your chest. You find the Uddiyana Bandha, so the deep core engagement, navel close to the spine. I'm going to do it twice more probably. So inhale, press the lower back into the mat and gently lift. Look towards the block. Now reach your fingertips towards your ankles. So here obviously the abdominal muscles, so the six-pack muscles are helping us in this action because that's what they do. But really we want to find engagement in the deep core muscles, at the same time finding steadiness and calmness in our breath and equanimity. So simply observing the experience, we're not judging it positively or negatively. And then gently release. Gather a little strength. We'll do it one more time. So inhale, press the lower back into the mat, navel close to the spine, and lift up. 2 rounds of breath. Breathe in, look towards the block. And one more. Breathe in. And out, release. So take the block out. And we're going to do something. So that's the really new part that I learned recently. So if you want to come up to see what I'm going to do, then it will give you a better idea of what's going to happen, because it's easy to do it like the easy way, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to start. That's why I said a couple of cushions if you don't have a block. So find a setting. You can go in the middle one. I actually prefer the lowest because it gives me most stability. Maybe I will go up to the higher one soon. So you slide it from the bridge pose under the sacrum so it's nice and stable. And then draw the right knee in. Find a gentle engagement of the deep core. And then you extend through the left leg. So both feet, so your toes and the knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. But we're not here, because then this way we're lifting the lower back and the hips away from the block. So we're just finding a passive stretch in the psoas. But what we want to do here is use the gravity and obviously the weight of our leg to apply some pressure, some weight to our psoas, so the hip flexors, but in a lengthened position. So it's the eccentric contraction. So that's why you need to make sure that you're pressing the sacrum into the block. All right, so if you want to come join me in this position, so place something underneath your lower back. Make sure that you're, fairly comfortable. If not comfortable, then stable. Then draw the right knee in. Extend through the left leg. Toes and knee are pointing up. Gently squeeze the belly. And you can keep the hands on your hips and your belly or just down. And what we're going to do is very slowly move the leg up and down. So be mindful not to use momentum. You want to use the strength of your psoas in the lengthened position. Try to keep the breath deep and full, and general awareness of everything else that's happening in the body. So you relax through the shoulders, your jaw, your forehead, and keep lifting the leg up and down. So lift and lower just a little bit. So how much, it doesn't really matter as long as the movement is controlled. And then draw the left knee in and just stay here for a moment. So we're going to do it one more time, and if you are happy with that height, you can do it again, or you can lower the leg slightly, but without letting the lower back lift. So it's probably lower the leg just enough so you can't see the toes anymore, but keep the engagement in your belly. So when you just look, I can't see my toes now, and then I lift and lower. So the lower you bring the leg, the more weight you're forcing the psoas to bear and lift. And this is something that we don't often do, so it might feel strange. And really we want to fatigue the muscles here. So just a few more times. And then drop the leg all the way down. Hug the right knee in. So we're in the passive stretch of the psoas now, so giving them some time to rest. So now they're in the lengthened position, but resting. Okay, and then we're switching sides. So left knee up, right leg out. So find a height that works for you. And with control. Keeping the awareness of your breath. Sandra, try not to lift the leg so high, because you want to have it, yes, you want to have the right leg, so the psoas in the right side, to be as lengthened as they can be. So in terms of the lower back, so psoas, they normally talked about in the hip context, but they are actually one of the spinal stabilizing muscles, along with the erector spinae, so the long muscles on each side of the spine, as well as quadratus lumborum. So that's why when it comes to psoas, stretching the hips can also help release any tension from the lower back. And then draw the right knee in. Stay here just for a moment. And let's do one more round. So finding the length that works for you. So the length, the height. Just making sure that the hip is in extension. So it's quite open. So we're not in like a tight Navasana position. But the leg is long, the hip is open. Observe, relax the shoulders. Move slowly. And then drop the leg all the way down. Hug the left knee in. Take a deep breath in through the chest. And out through the mouth. Can release the left leg. Slightly lift your hips up to get rid of the block. And then gently roll yourself up into all fours. So fingers spread really wide, wrists underneath the hips. Wrists underneath the shoulders. And knees underneath the hips. That makes more sense. And then take a breath in here. And as you exhale, push the mat away into cat. So you want to make sure that the shoulders are slightly over your wrists. You tuck the tailbone under, find a deep core engagement, and draw the chin towards your chest. So let's stay here for a few breaths. And as you could breathe into the fullness of the arch you've just created in your back. So each time you breathe in, extra potential length in between the vertebrae, finding broadness through the lower back. Another breath in here. And exhale, come back to all fours. Then tuck your toes and push back into down dog. Already notice if the postures we've done, if they've made any difference in your down dog. You can pedal your feet or spin on them. Find a deep core engagement. And then settle in your down dog. So 3 rounds of breath. Keep lifting the sit bones up to find as much length through the lower back as you can. So bend your legs a little bit and then lift the sit bones up. That's it, because it's all about the length in the lower back rather than bringing the heels down. Because if your lower back isn't straight, isn't we're not finding that spaciousness and freedom, then we're actually applying unnecessary pressure. So think about that. And then as you next inhale, roll over into plank. So, plank is one of my favorite things because it's a whole body strengthener. And if you use your entire body to lift up here, find the core engagement, squeeze the legs together, then it kickstarts all of the support for the lower back. So try to keep the body in one line. So we're not dropping the hips, we're not rounding too much, but keep squeezing your belly. And then drop the knees down and transition over onto your belly. So finding Sphinx, elbows slightly over in front of your elbows. You gently press the tops of the feet down as well as your pubis and see what happens, because often, so in terms of the lower back and the sacrum, let me just move this a little bit, and or like in cobra or down up dog, there's a lot of like squeezing and clenching here which can compress the sacrum. But if you press the tops of the feet down and the pubis very gently down, you may find some broadness in this area. So have a little play what it feels like to, as though you wanted to lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling, or if you very gently tuck it down and press your pubic bone down. So have a little play. And essentially what we're trying to do, instead of squeezing the glutes max, so the muscles like up here, like usually, most of the muscles that build our bum, is to find engagement in the lower fibers. So I find that it's really hard, but Rome wasn't built in a day, so just keep trying. So gently, feet down, pubis down, and then you can open the chest to find the engagement, where the bra strap is. So you're hooking the shoulder blades against the back of the ribs. And stay here, breathe. Imagine the length of your spine, the spaces between the vertebrae. And now tuck your toes under, fingers are spread really wide, Squeeze your belly, tuck your tailbone under to push up into dolphin plank. So you can walk the feet slightly in, press down through the arms, through the elbows, find the engagement in the core. Still supporting the lower back. Try to relax the muscles in your bum a little bit. And then drop your hips down. So then the same engagement in cobra. So press the tops of the feet down, gently your pubic bone to find broadness in the lower back. Roll the shoulders back and down as you lift up for cobra. So I often find that if I come up here, I find some compression in my lower back, which isn't necessarily or inherently bad. But obviously, if you're experiencing issues with your lower back, you want to avoid this. So then stay lower to find this area open. So then there's a lot more engagement in the arms as well. So stay here and breathe. And then as you exhale, push back to all fours. Bring the right knee behind your right wrist. Spin the foot to the other side of the mat. And shimmy your leg back to bring the hips down. So again, if you need a block or a cushion, you can slide it underneath your right hip. We're aiming to square the hips. So often you might see something like this. And it's like, oh yeah, it's great that you're here, but actually you need to bring the hip down because you're causing too much tension in the knee, etc. So make sure that you bring that left hip bone down and have a little play. Moving from side to side, how does it feel in the outer right hip? So pigeon is particularly good to find some release in the piriformis muscle, the one that's linked to sciatica. Although I know from experience that when it's feeling a bit tender, then this might actually make it worse. So try to avoid it. But you know, for some people it helps, for some people it doesn't. So really, it's coming back to the communication with your body and to feeling what brings release. Not necessarily feels good, but what helps you in the short term and then obviously in the long term. So you can come down onto your forearms, just a few rounds of breath. Relax through the shoulders, through your face. Send your breath to where you feel most sensations. See if you can soften your body in this area. So not necessarily for the sensations to go away, but pay attention to them and see if they change at all. Then walk your hands back in and lift yourself up. Tuck your back toes, step back into plank. It's always nice to stretch out the leg. And then left knee behind the left wrist, coming into pigeon on the other side. So check how this side is feeling, how the left knee is. It might be a lot different. So then you know the block is your friend, especially when it comes to like sagging the sides. So if you were to be like here, for example, because it's too much, but the block can help the hips to keep the hips square, then you should definitely use it. Look over the right shoulder, make sure that the leg is straight. And again, have a little play. So move from side to side. Keep the spine long, the chest open. And once you've found where you want to be, then you can stay upright, definitely. Or you can lower down. Just being closer to the ground and feeling the connection like with the earth can help you stay more grounded and more present on the experience that you're having right now. So breathe into your hips, into your back. And then inhale, walk yourself back up, tuck your toes, step back into down dog. Just for a moment, pause and notice how it feels. And then step your right foot between the hands, whichever way you like. Drop the left knee down. Inhale, easy, come up. So drag your hips forward and down, again to find length through all of the hip flexors and the psoas, and perhaps even gently through the top of the thigh. So with the spine long, lift up from the hips, reach your arms over the head. Look up for an extra balance challenge. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, bring the hands at your heart. Squeeze your belly and twist, lowering your left elbow to your right knee. And then see if you can hook it over. And you can use the right hand to help you kind of, lead it further through. Then bring the hands together, push them strongly, and find a twist in your middle back. Stay here, breathe, keep your hips low. And then inhale, bring yourself back to the center. And then drop your left hand down and bend your left leg. So you can walk the right foot slightly out to create more space for the hips to come down. And then reaching with the right arm over, grab hold of the foot. And if you can't grab it, it's okay. Keep squeezing it to the bum. This engages your hamstrings, which is always a good thing because most people have weak hamstrings. You can also use a strap, and it's particularly useful as we're stretching the quadriceps, the top of the thighs, which can also release some tension in the knees. So even though we're focusing on the lower back, that's always an added bonus. Find calmness in your breath and remind yourself that it's all good, just sensations, as long as it's not pain. And then gently release the leg and step back into downward dog. Then inhale, step the left foot between the hands, drop the right knee down. And inhale, come up. So the back foot can stay tucked or flat. See how you feel. Drag your hips forward and down, but finding that lift of the torso. So you will feel it more in the front of the right hip. Then breathe in, sweep your arms over the head. And exhale, sink your hips low. So feel the connection with the ground. Strong energy going from the hips down, but reaching your arms over the head. One more inhale here. And exhale, hands at your heart in Anjali Mudra. Turn towards the left leg to bring the elbow as close or over the knee if you need a helping hand, or it just helps you find that deeper engagement without using too much force. Then you can use it to hook the elbow. So then strongly press the hands together and lengthen through the back, twisting your chest out. So any of the deeper twists like this one helps you stretch and lengthen the muscles, so the erector spinae, for example, and the quadratus lumborum, which is linked to lower back tension. So find your breath, keep it steady, use your ujjayi, and then inhale, unravel, bring the right hand down, walk the foot out if you need to, to sink the hips lower. Then bend your right leg and look towards the foot, grab hold of it. You can potentially roll over onto the sharp edge of the left foot, but if you can keep it down, then it helps you find some engagement through the adductors, so the muscles in the inner thighs. Pause to observe the sensations on this side. If you notice any desire to change how you're feeling, you wish your body were different, try to breathe it out and just find contentment being exactly as you are. And so the pose is exactly as it is. So the principle of santosha. And then gently release. Step back to all fours and come into an easy pose. So simple, seated, cross-legged position. So one of the best twists that you can do, which you can do, sitting at your desk, on the sofa, on a train, is just from a seated position. So take an inhale, find length through the spine. You want to find as much length through the, in particular, the mid-body. And then as you exhale, squeeze your belly as you twist to the right. Use the left hand as a lever. Breathe into the chest because this is all engaged. And again, if you want to go slightly deeper, you can look over the right shoulder. With each inhalation, find more spaciousness in the chest. And as you exhale, squeeze your belly more and see if the body is welcoming a slightly deeper twist. Just don't go past your edge. And then inhale, come back to the center and pause. And I'm going to go to the other side. So inhale, wave length through the body. As you exhale, engage. All twists come from the core. And then you can use the arm, the hand as an additional slight force to find a deeper twist. Keep the shoulders down. And then inhale back to the center. And extend your legs in front of you. So this one is a test. So not a test in like a competition, a competitive sense, but to check how your lower back is. So essentially, most people can sit with the legs straight, feet are flexed, so kind of dandasana position. So where the lower back and the sacrum, so the bony bit at the back of the hip, is perpendicular to the floor. So, if you've got your arms down, you can push the chest up, find length through the spine. But then, this is how you prep for Paschimottanasana, so the seated forward fold. So then when you can see where the problems arise is when you bring the arms over the head. So inhale, find some engagement through the core, and as long as you're not here, then you're good. So you want to keep this nice and straight, keep reaching your arms over the head, and then as you exhale, we begin with a long spine, so to hinge at the hips. And try to keep this area as straight as you can to avoid any compression. And then after, this is about like 30 degrees probably. Then you can round the back because the roundness isn't coming from the lower back, but actually going to the mid back. And then your hands land wherever. And if you keep the engagement in your core, you're supporting this posture rather than adding unnecessary strain to your lower back. So then, if you want to grab your big toes, your feet, then, you can go for it. And if you, at any point, this doesn't feel good, or like, you know that your ego is like, no, come on, you can go deeper, and you sacrifice that length in the back, then definitely use the strap so you can keep pushing the core, so to sandwich yourself here. So you can do that and stay and breathe. So then that will build the muscle memory, so you'll be able to come from here to here, and then you can fold. Okay. So then you can gently lift yourself up, and whichever way you like, slowly transition over onto your backs. Bring the knees towards your chest, rock from side to sides. And extend your arms and legs out for Shavasana, or constructive rest pose if you wish. Take a really deep breath in, sigh out through the mouth. So twice more. Breathe in as though you could lift yourself a few inches off the mat. Be greedy. And exhale, let go of the practice. So one more time. Super deep and long breath in. And release it. Slide your shoulder blades underneath your upper back. And go back to the physical experience of your body. If you stay still, breathing consciously, this is an active rest. So it's not, we're not having a nap. We are staying awake. We're allowing ourselves, our nervous system and the fascial system to recalibrate after the practice, after the stress we have applied to the body, to the muscles, ligaments, the joints. And it can all come like pigeonhole everything and put it together. Focus on the exhalation. Keeping each exhalation longer than the previous one. Start taking deeper, more energizing breaths in. And invite some slow movement into the body. Roll over onto one side. Spend a breath or two there, just acquainting with your body. And after the practice, after the rest, and come into a comfortable seated position. I have asked to unmute you, so if you wish to join for the final chant, then accept my invitation. Come back to your seat, close your eyes, and one more time feel the connection with the earth, sitting heavily through the hips and the legs, and finding lightness and expansion through the upper body and your spine. So bring the hands at your heart in a gesture of gratitude for your body, for the time that you have carved out to be here, to connect with yourself and find some healing perhaps. I hope that you keep the seat of inspiration, and for the internal investigation of your body, the connection with your breath. And now we can close the practice with one round of Om. So take a big breath in. Softly open your eyes. Thank you very much for your practice. Namaste. So let me know what you think, maybe not now, but whenever. And if you found anything that you liked, or you felt that it did something or has the potential to improve the health of your lower back, then I definitely encourage you to do it like at least 3 times a week. If you can do it every day for at least 5 minutes, you will definitely see the results a lot more quickly. Because it's like with physio, they tell you that if you do something like every day, the recovery process will be, like 90 days or so. But usually people start doing it and then it kind of like, gets forgotten. So yeah, no, this is really good stuff. So if you do have any lower back issues, or if you're worried about them, then definitely the psoas engagement in the lengthened position, so what we did on the block. If you do it on the block, so you've got a bit more lift in the hips, then that's definitely the one that I would recommend. And that's because we normally strengthen the psoas, but in the shortened position, so like in Navasana, so whichever version you go for, like even if you're just here, then the psoas are shortened. But if you're here, then they're lengthened. And if you add that movement, then you're strengthening them, but in a different context, so they will serve you better. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely evening, and I hope to see you. Yes? After my second son, the second one was born, my cold went. Oh, really? Well, but that means that you probably need to do that a bit more if it was such a strong response, because we're used to certain postures or certain combinations of exercises. So we might do like boat and then low boat and just come back to that, but then to stay in this like extended kind of like bridge position, so eccentric engagement of the psoas and then lifting the leg. If you've never done it, then your body's just like, what? So yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, obviously I don't have children, so I can't really relate to that. But mhm. Oh, brilliant. Cool. Good. Mm. I see. Like that's the thing that it's yoga isn't about being able to do all the stuff that you see other people do or you've seen online kind of thing, but just finding that deeper connection with your body and actually knowing what's good for you, what's right for you, and finding acceptance with the things that may always remain inaccessible. So I think that some of the hip openers will remain that for me. But you know, we'll see. Yeah, I'll ask for that. Yeah. Okay, so hope you have a lovely evening. I'll send you the practice and let me know if you have any questions. So, m- pardon? Um, no. Yeah, I guess so. Um, okay. Yes. Okay, so I'll see you soon then. Thanks. Bye bye. You're very welcome.